What's going on, folks, and welcome back to another Scum video. I hope we're all doing well as always. Thank you very much for your ongoing support, and please don't forget to smash that thumbs up, as it does take the channel to awesome places, so very, very important. Now, before we get into it, I just want to say thanks to one of the developers for throwing me this exclusive information, but also want to make something very, very clear, ladies and gentlemen, before we get into this video. The first thing I would like to disclose is this is not a feature list. This is more of an idea, and this will describe actually how some of the outposts are, but this is a highly exclusive piece of information that I am going to share with you guys, but have been advised to let you guys know that it is not a feature list. These are ideas to keep the game revolving, as Scum is a very unique open world survival experience and wants to stand out from the rest of them. So there has to be ways to try and come up with new ideas, so nothing is exactly just like DayZ. Pretty much. Like all survival games. Right. So here's what's going to happen. I've got several of these sheets that you can see before us. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go through everything. So I want you to pause it, and I'll let you guys know with some of the things I'm not going to read, because some of them will go into a lot of detail in some of the areas. I want to kind of get the juicy stuff out there for you, okay? Otherwise, this will be... Actually, I'll tell a lie. I actually was just recording for 15 minutes and then realised this is too long. I don't want to make a video that long. So anyway... As you can see on the screen, there's one of the outposts. Now, they're looking at, so far, 2 outposts and 1 in the snow area. So I'm guessing like 3 right now, from what I can see. So we're going to skip some parts, and I'm going to let you guys know what the lowdown is. But remember, this is not a feature list. Okay, so outposts are PvE-oriented locations where players can travel to trade, acquire information or other services provided by NPCs or other players. These locations will replace all current free zones on the level, except for 1 free zone will remain, and it will be treated as a big outpost. Locations. Outposts are located within or in the vicinity of bigger settlements, and there should be 1 outpost in each couple of sectors. See, now, I personally think that's too much. But that's just me. I think there should be like 3 max on the server or something. Otherwise, you know, people are just going to... There's going to be too many, you know. Also, distance between outposts should be proportional depending on the travel time. Okay, so appearance, or how do they look like? Outposts should be constructed from the material accessible to players already in the game. For example, outside walls could be the same as one player can build in the game. But they could also be part of some exclusive unique settings. For example, outposts could be set up around the main communication tower on top of a hill, or smaller factory that was already some initial fences that have been reinforced by outposts' residents. They can be big or small depending on the amount of residents living inside. All outposts should have at least 2 guarded entrances, but that shouldn't be the only way for players to get in. Level designers should make ways for players to sneak in the outpost by jumping over fences, or maybe crawl through tunnels, or below some of the other obstacles to allow them to sneak into outposts in illegal ways. The reasons for that will be explained later in the document. Each outpost is being run by a different gang of NPCs. Nice addition would be that each outpost has unique visual features representing colours, banners of the gang that it is running. These could be flags, colours, banners, or the architecture or cultural identity of the gang. So POIs, or what to do in the outpost. Now I'm liking some of these ideas. So you got a trader. Here you can sell and buy all goods except guns, ammo, and body armour. Armoury. Here you can sell, buy, and repair guns, ammo, explosive, and armour. Questionable. Very questionable. Otherwise, like, where you get, people aren't going to loot anymore if they can just buy stuff. But hey, these are ideas. These are just ideas. You know, they may or may not come into the game. Saloon bar. Here you can eat, drink, gamble, play card games for money, slot machines, billiards, seek for information or hire mercenaries, hide guns, or have sex. Yes. Saloon should also provide players with options to rent a room, which is considered to be a free or low-cost respawn position, but players will have to pay it on a daily basis. Bank. Here is where players can store their precious belongings or hard-earned money. Banks take a fee for their services. Prison. Here is where you end up if you misbehave. The ambulance. Here you can purchase drugs, get stitched up, or do other types of surgery. And number 7, Governor's Building Office, the place where the main dude is. Okay. I'm liking this. I'm liking this. Right, so can I use weapons in the outposts? The outposts are not exactly the free zones, and firearms can be used, but there will be consequences. It is advisable to hold weapons holstered at all times, or the local militia or residents will react in a hostile way. Any use of weapons, all types of weapons, will almost immediately alarm the locals, and they will attack the player, including until he is killed or put in a coma. Players who drop in coma will automatically be put in prison and will lose all their gear. All players who manage to escape will have a bounty on set their heads. The bounty will last for some time, and all locals in the area will automatically attack players until killed or captured. As long as bounties are active, players will not be able to enter specific outposts on the front gate, but entering will still be possible by sneaking into the base. Players with bounties who sneak into the base will have to be real careful to avoid guards, local militia at all times. Additionally, it may help if players changes his visual appearance by wearing a mask or trimming down the facial hair, or the opposite. However, no trader will trade with players who wear masks at any time, and will recognise and alarm guards on sight, so you may need a friend to help you out with this. Until we finalise all the functionalities for the outpost, they will be treated as no fire zones. No point having fire-free zones if there's no NPCs to punish the offenders. And that's true. And I love all this economy stuff. Like, I think it's going to do a lot for the game in some ways. The trader. Here is a place where you can sell anything that is not related to weapons, armor, or military gear. Each trader has different sets of prices for the items he sells or buys, depending on the amount of items in the storage traders. As all other NPCs have to be interactive, although they are always standing behind a desk, they will react with player and his actions. For example, when players enter the shop, the owner will greet them, and if the player looks at a specific item in the shop, the trader might comment something about it. The trader's dialogue has to be diverse enough to not repeat itself too often. Also, it would be okay to record different voices, so that traders in different areas have to have a different voice. So I love the way that this is done, because this is like before they give it to the designers to make this stuff. You know, this was all written out as the idea happens in the developer's head. Like, I love listening to this. Okay. Where were we? Once player makes decisions to trade, as a menu is open where players can see all the items in his inventory with the price tag attached in case he wants to sell them along with the full inventory. This is available from the trader to be purchased. Before buying or selling, player can have an option to bargain for the better price. The bargaining is done by some simple game or using a skill that could modify the price. Whoever wins the match will get the better price. If player loses, he will lose some money, and if he wins, he will gain some money. The economy of trading will be set up, but in general, traders will purchase items from players for a low price that is additionally reduced if the item is in bad condition. If the item that is being sold has multiple parts attached, then the value of the whole item is calculated by taking value of all the items together. Optional things that could be done for traders is if a player doesn't have enough money to purchase something from the trader, he might be offered a mission to go and do something to get a discount or maybe earn some money. Missions could be anything from carrying merchandise or protecting it to the specific outpost or getting specific items that traders want to acquire. All missions have to be really simple really simple. Players should either roam around until they find specific items or go to specific places to get specific items. Let's say they need to get a pack of sardines or bricks. If they drop specific merch to a certain location, they earn some money too. Nothing too complicated. On missions to bring stuff, they might get attacked by NPCs, depending on how exclusive the goods are being transferred. Okay, so we've got the armory now, guys. The armory works in a similar way as traders does, but it handles everything related to weapons, ammo, armor, and military gear in general. Players can buy and sell and repair their gear here at a certain cost. Armory is always guarded with at least a couple of hired guns, and its owner is armed. Holding weapon is strictly forbidden in the armory, and it has to be notified at the entrance. If players still enter the armory with weapons drawn, they will be warned and held at gunpoint a couple of times to holster them, or they will get shot. If a player obeys guards, the guards will lower the guns. Selling and buying items works the same as traders, and to repairing works in a way that players press right mouse button on the weapon and select option for repair with the price tag. Repair 10% for $100 or full repair for $1,000. If weapons have attachments, if weapon has attachments, it will be repaired with all the attachments automatically. But the price will rise accordingly if players want to repair the specific attachment. That can be done by pressing right mouse button on it and selecting the repair options. Players will get a better price for crafting a specific item and selling it in the armory that if they just sell its ingredients. The owner will gladly buy any crafted explosive and complicated weapons. This applies to all other traders. They will pay more for the wine than for the grapes, so to speak. So if you have a fully crafted weapon, they'll pay more than it would for the ingredients of said item that you're making. Players might be offered to deliver specific items to the seller or to protect the shipment he sends out in another area. Missions could find rare weapons like engraved AKs or get 15 improvised mines, just as an example. I didn't realise how long this video was going to be, guys, so I do apologise, but hopefully this has given us some insight to what could possibly be coming with these outposts. And I love a little bit of exclusive stuff to push out there for you guys. All the information, the better, really. So, I want you to really pause these, actually, and have a little look-see for yourself, just in case I miss anything. So we're looking at the saloon bar. The bar is a place where players can relax, get something to eat, and spend time to heal their wounds quicker. A saloon should have the following inventory: a bar where you can sit, order your drinks directly from the barman. A couple of tables you can order food and stuff. And I'm just gonna breeze some of this, guys, because this video is gonna end up really long, and I don't want it to be super long for you. So they're talking about the saloon bar here, and they're looking at you know, some of the places you can actually go and eat. You can drink, you can call over a waitress and stuff like that. And as you can see down in the food and drink section, you can actually order food and drink, call a waitress, which is literally what I just said. So we're gonna go to the next one. So on this one, guys, I want you to have a little read for yourself up on the playing cards and the playing billiards section if you want to go through that. I want to kind of get through some of the other stuff in this video. So we're going to jump straight down to guns for hire for the minute. So players can hire mercenaries that will have to be paid per day. This can also be done in the saloon by approaching a group of NPCs near the bar. Once the player gets close to them, one of them will turn towards the player and ask him what he wants. The player then has an option to enter the hiring mode, and by pressing open the menu where there are predefined characters with their general occupations and experience, the player can browse from the catalogue and pick characters he wants to hire. There will be different classes for hire. For example, hired guns, soldiers, thieves, lockpickers, engineers, cooks, medics. Each of them will have generated stats with one of the skill which is much better than the other, and their wages will set up accordingly to their main skill level. Hired guns are automatically added to the player's clan. All hired guns can come with initial gear, but when it wears out, the player will have to provide them with the resources, give screwdrivers to the lockpicker, ammunition to grunts, etc. before the NPC gets low on resources. It will indicate to the player, and once it lost everything, it will comment something like, "Can't do it, boss." Player can control up to intelligent number of NPCs. So if the player's intelligence is 1, he can control only 1 NPC, and with intelligence at 5, he can control 5 NPCs. Tongue twisted there. NPCs cost are per day, and player can choose if he wants specific NPCs to be active when he logs out by selecting guard command. Assigned NPC will remain on the server and guard the position he is assigned with. That is cool. Other NPCs will despawn with the player and return when player gets back in the game. If there are more players in the clan, all players can recruit, but the number of NPCs is always limited with the intelligence of the leader of the clan. That's going to be really cool. So if you get like people who end up really rich and they get these, you know, these mercenaries to like protect their base or something. All players can pass those orders, and if more of them give more orders at the same time, they will listen only to the highest ranked player. More about controlling the NPCs will come later in the document. The initial price for the first day will be higher than the rest of the days. Let's say it should be 50% higher than all the other days. This should be done because players might otherwise choose to hire a new NPC after the initial one has lost its resources. For example, you pay a medium lockpicker who can lockpick 3 rusty locks or 2 silver locks or 1 gold before his resources are depleted for that day. Each lock drains certain amounts of his abilities, so after that player might decide to release him and take another one who has resources full, but the new one will cost him much more than the current one for the next day. Additionally, the player can fill the lockpicker with the screwdrivers to replenish his resources. These mechanics should apply to all NPCs and are hired. Alternatively, instead of lockpickers picking locks, they could just reduce a lock's level depending on their skill, but the player still needs to pick the lock. Okay. Renting a room. Renting a room is an option for players in the saloon or hotel. On the upper floor of the saloon, there is a limited number of rooms. Rooms are divided into the quality of the accommodation. Cheap, cozy, and premium. Each type of the apartment offers some protection and storage along with meal service. Cheap one can accommodate 1 person people. Cozy can accommodate 2 people, and premium has enough room for 3. Players can rent the room at the bar. Rooms are rented per week. When the week passes over, players who stop paying the rent will lose the room and everything that was stored inside. Rooms will automatically be charged to the player's bank account. If there is no money on the account, and the rent will stop and the room will become vacant. All belongings in the room are lost. Players without the bank account can pay directly to the barman in advance for the next number of weeks. The room will be theirs during that period, as long as they continue the rent room during that period. They will keep the room. Once the room is rented, players will get the clearance to enter one room Get the room number. Once he approaches that door, he'll be able to enter and use the room as his base. More about types of rooms and what they offer will be explained later. Right, here's an interesting one. And we already hit 15 minutes. Having sex. For having sex, there has to be some prerequisites met. The player needs to show his money. This means that he either has to earn money on playing games, rent a premium room, or buy drinks for all people in the bar. If player does something from mentioned, he'll be approached by a mistress. He will choose to have sex or decline. Prostitutes can be of any gender and will approach players depending on their sexual orientation and can be chosen from the catalogue. If player agrees to have sex and pay the price for it, the mistress will escort him into the room where the action will be happening. For sex is quite important to make a proper minigame to show how good performance player has. Optional, if the player performs well, he might get some information for free on a note of paper, and if he fails to perform, a prostitute can rob him of an item or some money. Oh, I love this. This is great. Right, so we're coming up to the end of this now, guys, so bear with me. So we're looking at banks. In the player's bank, in the bank, player can store his belongings. This includes money, but also anything else that the player finds to be of some value. Players can take or store money by opening the bank account, and their money is stored in their personal security safe. Only players have access to their safe. They can use that money to pay for services in any outpost around, but they cannot use it for transactions with other players. For these transactions, players have to use cash that has to be with them. The personal safe is placed within the main vault. The main vault has its own locks, and players can try to break into it. There are 3 types of personal safes categorized by the size. The first one has a size of the half of the basic chest. The medium one has a size of the full chest, and the big one has twice the size of a basic wooden chest. When opening the bank account, the player can choose the size of the private safe deposit box. The bank takes weekly toll for renting the safe. The rent price for the bigger safe is obviously bigger. There is no limit of how much money can be placed in the personal safe. The bank is protected by security personnel at all times, so if players get into the bank with masks or with weapons in their hands, they will be warned to remove or they will get shot. So the prison. Here is where the player ends up if he misbehaves within the perimeters of the outpost. There are a couple of ways how you end up in prison. The first and most obvious is if you start causing trouble, attacking other people with fists or weapons. The other way is by trying to rob a store, bank or armory, etc. I'm loving all this. If you are seen by a witness, you will get yourself reported to the sheriff. The only way to stop that is by eliminating the witness. If you cause any damage to NPCs or a player, you can get reported by them also. To report somebody, you have to go to the sheriff and file a report. In case if the accident was done within the PvE zone, report will generate the bounty that will expire after 2 to 3 weeks of real time minimum, depending on the crime committed. If accused continues to do more crimes and get more reports, that the bounty the reward will rise and the duration of the expiration date will be reset. During the period, NPCs in sectors where the bounty has been set will actively hunt down the offenders until they are brought to the justice. Other players can hunt down offenders, and to earn the bounty money, they have to bring them to the sheriff office of the outpost where the bounty was set. Likey. The other way to set up the bounty is by reporting some players who has done you wrong. This can be everything or doesn't have to be anything. Is there a problem to set a bounty on someone who hasn't done you wrong? To file a report, a player has to set up the reward for the bounty in the amount not smaller than XXX to avoid trolling people with small amounts. That bounty is propagated to all outposts on the island. All bounties can be read on the wall outside the prison itself. To claim the bounty, player can bring the BCU of the offender or bring him alive to the sheriff's office. Okay, so we can kill them. For bringing the offender alive, there is a bonus of 50% more than bringing the BCU. Oh, okay. Okay, that's interesting. That's going to be hard to get them to do that, though. Okay, so finally, date on player set bounties is also 2 or 3 weeks. If multiple players report the same offender, the bounty on his head is added from all players. To set a bounty, players has to open the bank account first. Then after setting up the bounty, money for the reward is temporarily removed from his bank account. In case the bounty has expired, the money is returned back to the player's bank account. Optionally, players can set up the bounty on clans. In that case, the bounty is set per member of the clan depending on the rank of the player in the clan also. So if the clan has 10 members, player has to possess enough money to cover all their members. Each member can be bought any number of times as long as the bounty is being active. When the bounty ends, the rest of the money will be transferred back to players' accounts. Players can cancel out the bounty once they are set, but they will lose 50% of the money they've put into the bounty. Okay, so that took 20 minutes to get through, and I didn't even read all of that. So feel free, if you want to pause, go and have a look at the some of the stuff there. Now this is really cool. This is kind of what I wanted to hear. I wanted to get more in depth with this. So for the sake of 20 minutes, guys, hopefully you did enjoy the video. We've got a lot more information. Now, don't forget, like I said at the beginning, this is not a feature list. These are ideas, and some of these may not even see the light of day. We just don't know what's going to happen, but these are the ideas that are on the table right now. Once discussed, I'm guessing after they've been discussed in meetings and stuff like that, maybe some of this stuff will come in, maybe some of it won't come in. So, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and as always, please don't forget to smash that thumbs up. My voice is officially done. It took me like 3 tries to make this video, and I finally got one that I liked. And I can't read any more today. So with that being said, stay safe. Hopefully you enjoyed. Leave a comment down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. And just before you guys go, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button too. Stay safe, guys. Catch you tomorrow.